Well, hey, welcome everybody to the Story Podcast. We're on episode 25, and you are in for a treat today. Hey, we are so glad to have you joining us. And as I mentioned, you're in for a real treat because we have Anand who came all the way from India, Southeast India, to join us. And we're so thankful to have you. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the story and the message from Sunday. But we want to first get to know you a little bit. And Anand represents Children of Faith Mission, and they do a lot. And so, Anand, I'd love to just have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the ministry. Yeah. We'd love to hear.
Yeah, thank you, Pastor Glen. My name is Anand Thandu, and I have a chemical engineering background, but I got the opportunity to visit US in 1998 to join as a software engineer, the dream of most of the people in India. So in 2000, I got married, and me and my wife both actually moved to US, and we were having the best time of our lives. Actually, I also graduated with my MBA at Cal State.
Okay.
And my wife, Rosie, she graduated with her bachelor's in computer science. We had our own house. We thought we would settle in the US for good.
Yeah.
But
living in the Bay Area, too, of all places.
We lived in Walnut Creek area.
Walnut Creek.
Yeah. And then there was always this calling to do something, back in India, because that's where we came from. You see a lot of orphans, children around, needing for food and shelter. So God placed a calling in our heart to help some children in India. So initially we started helping 5 children financially.
And the thought was you would stay here, continue on as a software engineer. Rosie would do her career, but you would just kind of send money back to India?
That's right. So we wanted to settle in the US for good. Mm-hmm. This is a dream life. And then we wanted to support few children in India financially. Mm-hmm. But on one of the trips when we went to India, we saw that the kids needed more than financial support. So they needed some emotional support, as many of them are from different backgrounds. The kids who are like 5 or 6 years old are from different backgrounds. So God placed a calling in our heart to move back to India and help, with them on first-hand level. So,
yeah. So I think we can all understand that the kids need more than just the little money sent to them. That's very helpful. But tell me, what were some of the emotional needs? What were some of the needs that you saw of these kids? And this is in your hometown?
Yeah, this is in our hometown. It's along the southeast coast called Visakhapatnam. Mm-hmm. Visakhapatnam. So some of the kids, actually majority of the kids came from a very poor background. Added to that, these were children of murderers, and like different background. The parents, the kids were never allowed. Some of these kids have never been to school at the age of 8-10 years. Uh-huh. So, and they were going through rough time in their lives. So they had like a lot of emotional insecurity.
Right.
That's where we thought we would start before even giving them proper education.
Yeah. Wow. So you saw you had 5 kids, but you saw they needed more. What happened from there?
So, when we went there and we realized that it is always better for us to be there, for me and Rosie to be there and help the children. So we started growing a little bit after we moved back to India. Mm-hmm. Then we started to grow from 5 children to 12, 40, and then 120, which is our maximum capacity. Mm-hmm. So for the past 20 years, we have helped more than 1,000 children.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
And some of them are engineers, business managers, nurses.
Isn't that great? Wow.
It's really wonderful how God is working.
Hey, tell me a little bit about that decision to move back to India. That must have been a hard decision. Were you and Rosie unified? Was there pressure from your families? How did you that's a big decision I finally reached the dream to make it to the United States. I've got a good education, a good job, and yet you have this tug. How did you make that decision?
So working as a software engineer and then becoming a senior level business analyst, it was very nice. The American life was excellent. And especially my wife loved this because in India, you don't have a lot of opportunities like a dishwasher. Those are all big things here. And she had the comfort of her life. And there was like deep calling in my heart, that okay, it is, I think, time for you to go back, because many a time I had this, battle in my heart, like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to go there? Because leaving everything, like a good job here. But God has placed that He's going to take care of our lives. And once we decided to go, it was very hard for my wife Rosie, and she was like, she just finished her bachelor's degrees with high honors. She's like, "Can we stay for 2 more years? It's like 3 more years." But I think it was the right time. I really felt, and then after we moved back, it took about 6 months for her to, finally think that I think this is the best thing to do. But for 6 months, she had struggled, adjusting back to Indian clock and everything.
Well, I don't know Rosie that well, but this every time I've talked to her or seen her, it seems like she's really living
She's very
what she's
happy
called
now.
to do, and she's so good at it, as are you.
She's very happy with all the kids now and helping them.
Good. So tell me a little bit about the ministry that you do there. What do you do with the children? What are the things that make up Children of Faith mission?
Yeah, so our main motto is to provide the highest quality of education to the poorest of the poor kids. So these are children, who would have been on the roads, either begging for food, or even the girls at the age of 10, 11, they would have been married. So we bring children from all the remote areas. We provide them like the best education, and then we give them good quality. We recently have a best dining facility that was built.
Oh, nice.
And then we have like a devotion time every year. These are children who need love and care. We have about 20 staff working on the lives of these children. And at our facility, these kids study up to the grade 10, after which they go outside to a junior college. I mean, they keep shuttling. They go to college and come back in the evening.
Okay.
And we also have a tie-up with a local engineering college who actually help by giving 50% tuition waiver for all our kids.
That's great.
So so far we have about like hundreds of kids who actually passed the junior college level and went into undergraduate program.
Wow. And education, I mean, anywhere around the world, but it seems like especially in India, unlocks kind of a brighter future.
That's right, because these kids, many of the kids are on the streets because they have never experienced, education. They don't know how far it would take, motivate their lives into. And especially, it's a big burden. In India, education is a big burden because right from morning to evening, you go to schools and they make you study. Since Rosie and I were educated in the US, we saw how fun it can be, how the different methods of learning, So we actually implemented all those methods in the orphanage.
Wow.
And some of the kids who never wanted to open a book, when you go through other methods of education, they started really excelling and having a good future.
Yeah. And you find these kids that, are really bright, but just have never quite had it pulled out of them. So I understand you have about 120 kids. What's the makeup of those kids? Where do they come from? What are they like?
So out of the 120 kids, we have like 60 boys, 60 girls.
Okay.
All from ages 5 through 21.
And all live there full time.
Yeah, we have 2 separate campuses, one for the boys, one for the girls. Okay. And what we do is like 25% of the children are like pure orphans, meaning they don't have either parent. They might have been with a grandfather or some distant relative who don't want to take care of them. So these are like 25% orphans. And then the rest, like about 50%, we have children of a single parent. The father would have died or, like abandoned the families. So these are 50%. And then the remaining 25% are children from the tribal areas where there is no even water facility or anything. So that's pretty much the composition, of the kids that live there.
That's really strategic. That's great. Yeah. That's great. And the area where you are is predominantly India. India is a Hindu country, primarily Hindu. How does the makeup of you as a Christian there in the middle of that, how's that work?
Yeah, it's quite a challenge because the place where we are located, it's surrounded by 100% Hindu religious villages. So there is not even a single Christian from the adjacent villages. And it's been a hard time for us staying there. But slowly we are able to, show the love of God. And especially for them to see, okay, why is this guy here? Why is he raising the orphans? Because according to them, even I had like 1 or 2 leaders from the Hindu community come and tell to me, why do you want to help them? If they are an orphan, it means like God himself wants them to be an orphan.
Like karma almost?
Yeah, it's like karma.
Okay.
But so it's very unbelievable for them that somebody would sacrifice their life, showing them the love of Christ and bringing them.
Are Hindu people, I know that's a stereotype to say that, but are Hindu people drawn to that kind of compassion? Because my understanding is in Indian culture, and there's that kind of that karma where it's like, well, you get what you get what you deserve, you get what your caste gets.
Yeah.
But then Jesus comes and shows us a different way where we have compassion for people beyond our caste or beyond our means. How do people respond to that love of God that when they see it?
It's something new in their lives because especially they have lived for centuries with the concept that, okay, whatever we have, it's our karma.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they see these volunteer activities or other like compassion activities, it's a kind of, not so easily understandable.
Mm.
So that's the way we actually showing the love of God.
I love that.
In fact, we even during the COVID, we have helped several hundreds of people from the Hindu community. So they're really happy with the way Jesus asked us to behave or move.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it's kind of a little bit off the topic, but if you go back into church history, back to when the church was just getting started in the Roman Empire, there would be crisis of, let's just say, a pandemic or something like that, and the Roman people would all leave and run away, and the Christians would stay.
Yes.
And that's how things spread, and that's the love of Christ. And so thank you for showing that, and thanks for being an example to us of that.
Thank you so much.
So Anand knows that this is also the story podcast. So we want to talk about this chapter. We've been working our way through the whole Bible, and now we're onto the life of Jesus. And we talked about this week, kind of Jesus unmasking himself, where Peter recognizes and calls him out as the Messiah, the Son of the living God. But there were a few points that we talked about as we looked at Matthew chapter 16, starting with this idea that Jesus takes his disciples and they go to Caesarea Philippi. And there at Caesarea Philippi, it was known as a very pagan place. You had the influence not only of the Greek god Pan, but the influence of the Caesar, Augustus, and Herod Philip, all who had different forms of corruption. And Jesus takes his disciples like 30 miles out of the way. So it's not an accident. He brings them there for such a purpose. And we talked a little bit about this idea that Jesus starts to show who he is in his true light in one of the darkest places. And I think a little bit, in some ways, you guys are a great example of that. You mentioned that your school is surrounded all by...
Yeah.
Do you guys ever think about moving? You guys ever think about going somewhere easier, maybe finding somewhere a little...
Yeah, there has been many challenges in our lives because, we are from a different area. So God has placed us in middle of this community. So many a time our friends, and relatives would suggest, why don't you come out of this place? Because it's a hard place.
Right.
But for us, I think this is God picked this area. I always feel when God created this earth, that place was meant for me during this time.
Amen.
Yeah, and the community. So basically, we are there to serve the community. We are there to reach the community for Christ. So there is pressure, also with all the obstacles and the hurdles that we have. There are a couple of times when we want to move away from that place, but we strongly believe that Lord wants us to be there, and then we are right to do his work.
And I know you face spiritual opposition and even some persecution. How are you guys handling that?
Yeah. So India as such is a country where Christians are persecuted at different levels.
Right.
So we have learned to go through that. But the place where we are, it's a higher level of persecution because these are places where this is a place where centuries of years, there's a lot of idol worship, and you can actually see the evil spirits manifesting themselves over there.
Like demonic
influence. You can feel their presence, and you can feel their activities, and people being motivated to do all illegal things. So it's quite a bit of challenge. But I think again, with the way when you spoke about Jesus, taking to the Caesarea in Philippi. So I think it's a place where God selects during a certain time because he wants his light to be shone over on that particular place. And that's the way we feel.
Yeah.
And that's the reason to continue there, to show love of Christ.
Yeah. And then Jesus gives this beautiful reminder to us that, he'll build his church and the gates of hell will not prevail. Yes. And the gates of hell come at us in many different ways. In some ways, they are very real for you. But I want to just encourage you that the gates of hell will not prevail against his church in India, in America, or anywhere.
Yeah,
He is.
it may take a little while, but I think the
Mhm.
prayers and the support, from all of you would definitely help us.
Nice. Well, we're happy to do that. So then Jesus asked his disciples, who do people say that I am? And some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, some say Jeremiah. And we made the point that people kind of have their favorite version of Jesus. John the Baptist is more the kind of fiery preacher, and Elijah is the God of miracles and wonders, and Jeremiah is the God of, or the compassionate prophet who comes alongside the hurting. Do you see that even in India, that people have kind of a different view of Jesus? What are some of the different ways that people perceive Jesus in India?
Yeah.
Whether they're Hindu or obviously Christian is going to be different, but what would the average person on the street in India say about who Jesus is?
Yeah, Jesus is viewed as a God. I mean,
Okay.
you go and ask anyone, they say Jesus is a God. But India is a country, especially with major Hindu population, where they have millions of gods.
Right.
So if you tell
Is it really millions?
millions,
Yeah, millions. It just goes
Yeah.
on infinitely.
for them, because like water is God, money is God,
Okay.
everything is a God to them. Every creation is a God to them.
Mhm.
So when you say Jesus is a God, they're ready
Sure.
to accept it.
Yeah.
But when you say Jesus is the only God,
Yeah.
it becomes a challenge for most of the people. But when they start experiencing miracles, in the areas, then slowly, one by one, they come to know that He's the living God and He's the only God.
Wow. That is a big thing for someone to move to. Yeah, he's a God, and I can like him or even worship him. To
Yeah.
wow, he's the way, the truth, and the life.
That's
But what a life-giving message too, for people to find the fullness of life in Christ. So, hey, so how do you reach then, especially the Hindu population or the community? What are some things that you do to share who we believe Jesus really is?
Yeah, first thing is more like you live a life of testimony. Your life is a
Mhm.
testimony, one thing. And then the second way is we do a lot of personal evangelism,
Okay.
where you go try to make friendship, with the local leaders and people from the community. Slowly talk to them, about Jesus and the way that He has created everything and that His desire to give eternal life to them.
Mm.
So there are some concepts from the Bible which we share with them, and somehow, I mean, that's the way we approach, and
Nice.
and education is another thing where we bring them to our schools and slowly get them involved in devotion, give them a Bible to read.
Right. And that impacts if they have family. They're not true orphans. If they have family, that really trickles in and starts to influence the family.
Exactly. When one of the family member knows Christ in their lives, then it is always easy for them to work on the remaining members of the family.
Right. You say you also do some big outreaches. You mentioned Christmas is a time that people are kind of uniquely open. Tell us about that.
Yeah, every year we have these Christmas events, outdoor events. We have between 2,000 and 3,000 people coming in.
Mhm.
So that's the time when all our kids get to perform, sing Christmas songs and others. And then we also bring a local preacher who vividly, explains the purpose of
Mhm.
Jesus coming to the earth. And that's a favorite time for us because we invite all our friends from the Hindu community to come to the meeting.
Mm.
So they're open that particular day to come and hear, about Jesus.
Mm.
That's one event that we do annually. Every year we have
That's great.
thousands of people coming and knowing about Christ's love.
That's great. So that's coming up. Christmas will be here before we know
A
it.
couple of months, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And then the last point from the message was finally Peter gets it right. And Peter says, no, you're the Messiah. You're the Son of the living God. And I'd love to just hear a little bit about your testimony. How did you come to faith in Christ? And what does it mean for you to follow Jesus as the Messiah, the Son of the living God?
I was fortunate to be born in a Christian family.
Okay.
My mother went to a Christian school where she developed her faith.
Mhm.
And then later, my dad came into Christ, our whole family. Now it's a huge family, about 35 to 40 people, all
Wow.
in the knowledge of Christ.
Wow.
And personally, I've experienced, the love of Jesus. I believe that He's living God. I mean, it's not like He takes you somewhere and let you on your own.
Right.
He walks you through the fire, through the water, and I've experienced Him. And the fact that He loves the whole country, whole world, he loves each individual. I mean, it's not just,
Amazing.
he doesn't want to leave even one person. So his amazing grace and love has really captured me, and I love him. I love him.
Oh man, well, we can see that, and we're so grateful. Maybe just as we kind of wrap up here, people that are watching, especially from the church here, how can we be praying for you? What are some of the biggest needs that you're facing in the next, let's just say, 6 months or so?
Yeah, we're actually planning to be open in the sense like this would be one of our outreach activity, but we are planning to expand our
Okay.
education system. That way, the community around are better educated, because most of the problems in Indian society are because of the lack of education. So we want to give proper education to all the kids around. That way they will develop their moral values, their behaviors, and things like that. So please pray for our project, for our next school project, that we may be able to do it on time, reach out for more people. And also we would like you to pray for the safety of our 120 children, their future, because you light one candle and it has the potential to light many other candles.
That's right.
And wherever our kids grow, we want them to be having a very good life, and we want them to show the light of Jesus to others. Yeah, so please pray for safety
Great.
also of the Christians, because there is persecution
Great.
at different levels. So.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing. If you're watching today and you're connected to First Baptist, there's a good chance you're going to be hearing more about Children of Faith mission and the work that they're doing, especially as we come to Christmas. As you're aware, we always do Christmas offerings for different needs, and so we're going to be really excited to partner with that, as we're going to look at God's story for the whole world this Christmas time. So thanks so much for thanks for coming all the way and joining us here at First Baptist Church. Thanks for your ministry. Give our love to Rosie as well. And God bless you. Thank you so much
Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I feel so blessed to be here, and thanks everyone for watching.
Good. Appreciate it. Well, hey, God bless you, and we'll catch you next week.